Okay, we call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. We have established a quorum easily. We have minutes from the 4th of June and the 1st of October, the 15th of July, even though it was scheduled, was canceled. So if you have had a chance to read those, or let's take a few moments to read those and then we can approve them, get them on the record.
I think October first meeting was when everything was great. The street
Still
lights.
great,
the
it's
street-
still great.
The street light project was great.
Well, still great.
The streetlight project.
Move for approval
I
of,
know.
You get a AAA bond rating and you get $3 million.
move for approval
Is
of
it-
June
Whatever
4th.
you're doing, keep doing it.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the 4th of June.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
Voted this, look at the time and it was okay.
Any corrections from the 1st of October? Entertain a motion to approve. So moved. Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, so here are copies of warrant.
You got one?
Okay, there's a first page that's not on here, but has just the order of business.
That's just for the moderating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna have two reports. I'm gonna make the report from the Finance Committee. And Bob, you're gonna make the report from the Building Committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Preview it now.
Would the building committee report be first, or does it matter? Are you
Just a suggestion, I think, having the finance committee do their
the whole thing,
report,
the normal?
do their report first,
Yeah,
Okay.
and then going on, I mean, with all the good news that's going on in Newbury with the bond rating,
yeah,
free cash,
yeah,
the town, I mean, Marshall, Gene, you and I have been around long enough.
yeah.
We remember more challenging days. That's all good news that people really have to be reminded of, because and I go back to junk bond ratings and negative $130,000 in free cash, and we couldn't get a pickup truck, so.
Mhm.
Makes sense. Are you meeting with, the moderator at all before the meeting? Pre-meeting? and-
We have met
Okay.
once.
Oh, you have met? Oh, okay.
And
All right.
we may meet again. To agreement. Also, there are a couple of items that are going to go through capital planning, I've gotta put a notice on for capital planning for a meeting so that we can vote on some stuff that we had examined before, but unfortunately it was during the power blackout and we could not print the ratings forms, so we didn't rate them, so we'll have to go back and rate those. And then we're going to have to do, there are two other ones that are in there to be rated.
Impacting this warrant,
They will impact this one.
but they're on
They're
here,
kind of minor.
but they're on here.
But they're on there.
No.
And then what I'm gonna do is call for a meeting a half an hour before the special town meeting so that the CPC can report to our board so that we can then update in the meeting.
Mhm.
How's that, part of that? Okay,
So, who's gonna take us through this?
well, I might as well take us through this and we'll go. So, we received the reports of town officials, that's fine. Then to see if the town will appropriate $1.73 million for the police station project. And whether this should be raised by transfer from available funds, borrowing or otherwise, or take any other action related thereto. The selectmen have approved it. It's up to us to make a vote on it. Do we have forms for each one of these?
No, no, I
Who's-
just recorded them for
Who's
the
de-
booklet.
Who's determining where the money's coming from? Do we need to make that recommendation?
The proposal that was approved by the Board of Selectmen, that the motion will be made is for additional borrowing under the same terms, and that was, the reasoning for that is, above all else, I mean, we're all very aware, sitting at this table, that we still have a town hall project looming. So they felt it was very important to protect their AAA bond rating in order to ensure that we realize, you know, the best rates for future borrowings, and also to maintain adequate reserves.
Did, so they, that's gonna be
The main motion, yes,
That's,
yes,
May I just clarify, this is to add to the cost of the project overall?
correct,
yes.
yeah, to authorize that we borrow another 1.73
Where will
million.
that take us to?
That's gonna be
8.3.
8.3.
The 8.3.
You're in the 8.3. And I think the wisdom behind that approach was that we have excess tax levy where you don't have to go back for an override because of growth and 2.5% increase in your levy, that can be paid out of operating. So that was the thought process behind that.
So it won't be increasing
Yeah.
taxes.
It doesn't require any further action.
The
By-
additional 1.73 will not impact
Your tax bill
tax bill.
comes out of operating. I think adding clarity to that at town
Somebody's
meeting.
gonna have to explain
Yeah.
that.
That really needs to be explained, I
Yes.
think, because people are really concerned about, now, how much is this gonna make our taxes go up, and so many people that are on fixed incomes, they're gonna be like, I gotta sell my house and get out of here because I can't afford to stay here anymore.
We can add that into the record.
Because
Yeah.
we have the excess levy.
Well, you get your 2.5% growth,
Right.
then you have your new growth. And,
It will ultimately
I mean, you
impact.
generate a lot of free cash.
Ultimately,
every
it
year. You gotta
impacts
have
free
some
cash.
excess levy somewhere there.
Right, it would ultimately impact, if we, it ultimately would impact free cash next year, if we don't, right, because we're gonna use it, otherwise it wouldn't be used. And someone would, you could also say, well, if we didn't use it, my taxes would go down.
But the reality is,
I
we
know,
wouldn't
I know,
use
I
it.
know.
On something else.
You can,
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I'm
you can
just
spend
you
it
can
now
say
and you
that.
can spend it later.
I'm just saying.
but now it would be committed to debt, yeah.
But
you're
I
right, you're
I
right.
think to your point, Sharon, I think it would be very helpful that that 1.7, is that another $95,000 a year that would come out of the operating?
90.
90,000. I think adding some clarity to that and
Yeah.
that it doesn't come out of,
Right.
we're not doing an override, so it's not going to be in addition to your
And our
current.
debt must be pretty
I
close
think
to
that's, I
zero.
think that's very important.
Yep.
Where,
Right now.
our debt's gotta be close to zero
We're
now.
getting there.
Yep.
What is it?
Not for long, not for long.
But that's,
Historically,
I can.
I know, we've
we're
been
not even
coming
gonna
down.
go anywhere near where we were
No.
5 years ago,
No,
or 10 years ago, whatever it was.
But hence, well, we have a AAA bond right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
That doesn't happen by chance in
And
small
we-
communities.
We
for sure.
anticipate because of the AAA, that we could get a much more a more favorable rate.
Give you an example, we were looking at 4%
Yeah.
about a year ago. We're borrowing at
2.4.
2.49 or
Oh,
something.
wow.
And I mean,
Oh, it's-
that's the
what
30-year
you
penalty.
That's what you
That's,
anticipate?
the-
Yep.
no, that's
No,
already,
that's what we got.
that's where it's already gone out, that's what it
Wow.
came in at.
That's great.
I mean, those are,
That saves a little.
If someone can translate that into how much that saves, is that
Yeah.
worth? doing?
Approximately
We're working on it.
Okay.
250,000.
That's
Per-
really
per-
important to know.
that sounds cheap though. I mean, 1% of 6 million a year is what?
600?
No, it'll be 60,000.
60, I
Wait a
mean,
minute.
60,000.
But-
600.
It's about 250.
From 4 to 2.5. Don't take the fun out of everything.
Sorry, all right.
Who will be making that case to the,
Well, Bob's gonna make the presentation. Do you wanna,
Well, I
and
mean,
the previews
I
of what's
I
gonna be-
think when it comes to finances and borrowing, that would be more appropriate to come from the selectmen or the finance
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
Because you're getting into, you know,
Yeah.
we're the nuts and bolts.
Right.
You're the nuts and bolts of the money.
I mean, we can walk through how we got to where we're at.
Yeah,
Certainly. And I think, one of the things that we wanna do tonight is, we wanna piggyback a handout with your package.
we got it. Yeah.
And it's, I mean, we could have 40 pages, which would be overwhelming.
Overkill.
People won't read it.
No, no. But no, it happens that they appreciate that a lot of effort went into it. Sometimes there's some benefit to that, but
Yeah.
that's certainly not what we're proposing. But if you want, Marshall, and I apologize, I have to be out of here in about 20 minutes.
Okay,
If I could, while you're talking about this particular article,
let's do it.
let me walk you through it. So,
I think I have
We-
a copy of it.
yeah, we have, the building committee, we have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, the selectmen are at 6 o'clock. And so we are still dealing with the low bidder and second low bidder. And so in your handout here, you're going to see a draft memorandum to the Board of Selectmen, and it is identifying the low bidder BC Construction as the responsible bidder. We would recommend that the town go forward with that. On the second page, because we're still doing due diligence, and I'll circle back, that is if we decided not to recommend the low bidder and go to the second bidder. And there's about a 200K penalty to that. So, going back, so let me give you a quick overview. The bids came in October 11th, 68 entities drew down plans for this project. 5 general contractors actually filed bids, and about 30 filed sub-bidders submitted bids. How it works at the municipal level is everything is posted electronically. All the subcontractors or filed sub-bidders get to independently bid this project. So their bids closed out September 28th. That information is then provided to the general contractors that are registered, and they incorporate that in their bids. They have no say on who it is, they have no say on what the amount is. The low bidder and the filed sub-bids just carries forward and has to be incorporated into the base bid of the general contractor. So what you'll see on your first page, why don't we walk through the amount, the first memo on the second page in. The base bid that came in for low bid was $6,087,000 to round up. The committee, we used a process called alternate bid items. There were some items that we could carry as alternates, although we recommend they become part of the project. They weren't necessary to get a certificate of occupancy to be able to move in to the building. And that's $332,000, again, to round up an alternate bid item. What are they? That's the elevator, it's full landscaping versus lumen seed, it's wood clapboard and shingles versus vinyl siding, vertical granite curbing versus Cape Cod berm. All of the things that I think we all collectively would like to see as part of your finished product are identified in your alternate bid items. The project cost, that's your architect, your owner's project manager, your testing, commissioning, the total $1,007,500. And this isn't by so much we elected to do this, this is by compliance. You must have an architect, they have to be determined to be qualified and approved. Same thing with the OPM. And that's what it adds up on a project like this. The hard part is, our OPM costs are $300,000 on a $6 million project. The OPM cost on the Pentucket School, which is $60 million or whatever it is $300,000. So that's where smaller projects, we all try to use a square footage translation, but it just doesn't work once you get under a certain size. So if you go to your next line item, FF&E, furniture, fixtures, furniture, and equipment, we lumped in that security card access, the comm tower, and AV. We have an allowance, a reserve of $550,000. We have a quota of $50,000 for the comm tower, and that's installed. Originally, we were carrying $140,000. So the committee has always erred on the side of keeping these really robust and then reducing as they come into play. So your subtotal is 7.9, just under $8 million. Traditionally, you carry a reserve or a contingency on these projects. It's for the unknown existing conditions. It's for that variance of what the plans didn't cover, but we still have to do, because nothing is ever 100%. We're carrying 5%, or $321,000. So when you add that all up, you're just under $8.3 million. So the next page is if the committee decides that we're not going to go with the low bidder because of some reference issues or due diligence, this will be the cover sheet that will be going to the selectmen tomorrow night. So
Bob, excuse me a second, you said that the contingency is 5%? It looks like it's 4%.
Yeah, it does look more like 4%.
Yeah, it's 3.
well, no, but it's only a construction.
Of the construction.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, the FF&E in those are owner supplied,
Got it, okay.
okay?
I was looking
So
at the
we
subtotal.
carry it.
Too.
So in the alternative that the committee makes a recommendation to bypass the low bidder and go with the second low bidder, this sheet and these numbers would then prevail.
Okay, now that's the one that was dated the 18th of October, right?
You know what, Marshall, you don't have, I reduced this all down. I apologize, I thought you had sent out the copy I had provided you, but, let me give you the, this is what we're looking at right now. You have this.
Okay.
Okay.
I had an earlier one.
Yeah, so that, where we're operating at such a tight, time constraints, we're doing duplicate scenarios here so that we're ready to go tomorrow night once we vote on this. So, when we made our presentation to the Board of Selectmen back, in October 22nd, the bid results came in, we had met on October 18th. We had prepared a presentation for the selectmen based on available information that we had, because the selectmen certainly needed numbers in order to plug them into your warrant article. The due diligence was underway, but had not been completed. So starting out, we had a couple of references on the low bidder, and one was a glowing best contractor in the world, took over a failed project where the other contractor went bankrupt, did a great job, and the second reference was from an architect that had less than favorable comments, doesn't like paperwork, does change orders and the like. The second little bidder just had, he had 100%. So we continued on with the due diligence. Now, being in the business, most projects, when they go smoothly, is because you have a good architect and a good contractor. When you hit bumps in the road, a lot of times it's the plans, they're not, the level of detail isn't there, and there's misses,
Yep.
cost overruns, and everyone gets cranky, and then it starts like this. So we wanted to proceed, and we did a good job of continuing on our references. Tracy reached out to the town of Dracut. They had a fire station that went out to bid, and BC Construction was a low bidder. Their building committee recommended not to use them, and they had given a number of reasons, and Tracy had shared that with the committee. Our architects, contracts, they followed up on that. They happened to only reach out to other architects, and they came back with a similar recommendation. We had a conference call with Vertec, who is our project manager, who has worked with this contractor on a couple of projects, and actually didn't have any problems working with them. We requested that they do a further review of all the previous information and to reach out to the contractor to give him a chance to respond. And the result was Vertex talked to the owners of projects, and they had a far different opinion of the contractor in a favorable light, where that the contractor had to sue a town, the architect was all upset, the director of whatever got fired, but the town said, the guy did a good job. So it comes down to this, that it's been a recommendation to go with BNC Construction. They do not have a flawless recommendation, review, but what everyone does agree is that they build a quality product, they know what they're doing, and if you know what you're doing, it'll work. So both the two principals of Vertex, I talked to them yesterday, and they issued, you don't have it in front of you, they issued an updated recommendation, and they've recommended going with BC Construction. But my committee hasn't had a chance to review all of this data, so hence why you get two scenarios before you tonight.
Did anybody do site visits?
What's that?
Did anybody do site visits?
Well, the OPM that works for us worked on projects that they did.
Yeah, but did anybody do a site visit?
You mean from the
This
committee?
site?
Yeah.
From the
Find
committee?
out from the actual people that now own this project, what their view of it is.
Well, I mean, we've hired a professional project manager who represents the town by law. And they worked on projects with BC Construction, where they watched each and every component go in. And universally, all of the references that came back from the owner's side were was never a question of quality, Tom. But I haven't had a chance to go out and look at it. And I can get you some addresses if you feel like taking a ride. It really comes down to this. You're complying with DCAM rules, the AG oversees all of this bid process. We can consider determining that the low bidder is not a responsible bidder and award this to the second bidder. They can protest the DCAM, and that delays the project. And then there's a person, Deb Anderson at the AG's office, that is the final arbiter of all these. We've talked to her all the way along the way, and by us giving the contractor a chance to respond before we made a final decision, I mean, basically, it's kind of changed the potential direction we were going to go with this.
So a quick question, the cost, or the complaints that happened, was there additional costs that were associated with those complaints, and what was the average increase in cost?
It doesn't get quite that specific, in all honesty. It comes down to, can they maintain a schedule? Whether excessive cost overruns. Cost overruns are usual. Change orders are generated by typically two things. Errors in the plans, an oversight, or the owner elected to add something to the scope. And
Sure.
that's how they rise.
Yeah, I guess if let's say there's 50% complaints, and those complaints averaged an additional $200,000.
No,
I'd assume you're talking, what, $100,000 difference here?
no, you're talking just under 200,000.
So, do you want to take the risk of having issues for $200,000?
We had that conversation at our last meeting, and when the contracts document came in, and it was, Marshall, if you can send out what I forwarded it to you.
Yeah.
All of the responses were in the back of that, okay, as far as, it was, I think it give you some, you know, you'll see it firsthand rather than, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to never quality of the project, not about finishing it. It's, I'm a contractor, I run into this all the time. You get into a project, especially renovations, and you have asbestos abatement. No one wants to hear that is costly and timely. You can delay a project by up to 6 weeks while you're doing your 10-day notification with DEP and all that stuff. And that was one of the cases, and it was, without getting too deeply into the weeds, that the contractor's capable of doing this, going in knowing that he requires oversight. You know, we're paying people to do it, and they've already worked with the guy, and they vouch for him. And there's no collusion, it would be very easy for everybody just to say, spend $200,000 more. But I haven't seen personally anything that gets me to a level at this point, and after doing all the due diligence.
And there is the risk of appeal on the low bidder.
Protest, right.
Protest
Yeah.
on the low bidder.
You have 30 business days from October 11th to award the contract and then notice to proceed. That amounts to about 45 calendar days. So we go to town meeting the 12th, well, the money gets appropriated. If we decided, or Board of Selectmen certainly decides that they're gonna go with the second bidder, second bidder is notified, low bidder is gonna file a protest. We're not gonna resolve it by November 20th, and you're gonna have to go out to rebid anyway. And rebidding isn't necessarily going to bring any better results. I mean, you don't know, but historically, that hasn't been the case. So if you look at, so one of these cover pages is going to be attached to your booklet. And then we have the rendering, the building, plot plan, and then the floor plan. And we're thinking that gives everybody a chance sitting in the audience to touch and feel what's going on, whatever the executive summary is, they'll have that, and you'll get to see what it's going to look like. And we have, I think we still have the poster boards, Tracy, don't we?
Yes.
So that was really the thought, and we discussed going through the long version or the short version of a presentation, and we're gonna finalize it tomorrow, but other than walking through where we've come and we're ready to go, I don't see us putting on a in-depth presentation. And give it the short version. People either ready to vote, or there'll be questions, and then we'll just deal with those. But everyone's been hearing, we've been talking about this baby for 10 years. And, it's time to build something. Or,
Flip the switch.
yeah, or don't do anything at all. But any other questions?
I just have one, because it's a question I've gotten. The extra 1.73 million, when people ask, what's that, why is that necessary? What's the simplest way to respond?
Simple reason is the 6.5 was a figure that was decided in 2016. It went to, and this is another important part. October 2016, we had a special town meeting. At that time, there was a proposal for a police station, and the 6.5 was tossed around. It was turned down. November, we had, but in anticipation, the selectmen had put it on a ballot question, so we got the override approval for the 6.5. Selectmen scheduled a special town meeting in January. And at that point, the 6.5 from October get carried forward, and, excuse me, people want to carry forward all of the conversations for the last 5 years. In October of 2016, everything to that point becomes moot because it got turned down. The ballot question being approved generated the STM in January. Warrant article was presented, it was amended on the floor. It was 6.5 million to build a standalone police station on the Morgan Avenue lot, and if there was any money left over, fix or repair town hall. And I've heard more things come up, but that's just the chronological order. So based on that, we were using $450 a square foot. So just round off 10,000 for simple math. In 2017, in the spring of 2018, $450 a square foot was the rule of thumb cost for a facility like this. We carried that rate until March of 2019, when the Merrimack Police Station went out to bid, and it came in at $550 per square foot. So on that one day, we raised our budget by $1 million. From March of 2019 to October, you've had labor costs and market conditions have added another 20% over the spring bid results. Now we're at $640 a square foot.
Okay.
So delay time has been of the essence for the committee in pushing this forward.
And that was something we had predicted from day one.
Oh, it's one of those things, Marshall, that I think,
Until it happens,
Yeah.
and when it happens, it's too late.
Well, you can present the best,
Yeah.
best projects. At the end of the day, it's what investment is the community willing to make at that time? But this is where we're at. And, I mean, the good thing is, the town's in agreement we need a police station. The town's in agreement that it's gonna be a standalone on the Morgan Avenue lot. And the only question remaining is, do you wanna do it now, or do you wanna do it later? If you do it now, this is what it costs. If you do it later, history's telling us it's only gonna get more expensive.
So apples to apples, you were 6.5 in October of 16, you're 8.2 in October of 19, so that's 30% in 3 years, right? That's,
And in all honesty too, I'm not sure back, and I wasn't involved in the process back then. If you look at the schedule, the values that you have, the building is only 6.2. It's $1 million for your design development.
right.
Then you spend another $500,000 to put stuff in it. And, I mean, you can look at this, we have a contingency of $321,000. That's not been allocated or spent. But a wise investment to have it as a reserve. You get $331,000 in alternates that you don't have to do. And you could still occupy the building, but it's not going to be the building that we're all gonna be proud of. It'll be, you can occupy it. So you get $700,000 right there in the FF&E. Again, we're reusing a lot of the furniture, we're reusing the police consoles, but our policy is we don't zero down a line item until we actually have a hard number. And that's the process that we're going through now. So you technically could have another $100,000 or $150,000 in savings. But there will be something else that will be higher, so it's the offset. So, but that's really, it's,
That helps, thank you.
yeah. When the Merrimack bid came in and it was $100 a foot higher, it took all our breath away.
Did you all quit then? No.
Well, you know, it is really, the market is so superheated.
Yeah.
The general contractor components are really not out of line. It's all the file sub-bids that everyone has a full plate of work. They're throwing telephone numbers out, and if it sticks, I'll do it at overtime. I mean, and we just don't have any ability to, you can't pick and choose. It's a slate of low bidders, passed on to the GC, and then we decide from there.
Very good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
So Tracy, you can decide on, I mean, I'll see you tomorrow, but
Yep.
whether you wanna put all those in, or you just wanna put a couple of them in. I think everyone wants to know what they're buying.
They wanna see
8.3.
it, yeah, I agree.
Oh, thank you.
Who asked that?
Don't ask.
Now, what am I
I'm
sending?
asking you.
Because
I already know.
this is different than that, which is different than,
What the ones that?
Yeah. one's-
This is what will go in.
What's the date on that one there?
this is the 22nd of October.
Yeah, that basically is what you're going to,
Does that one-
but what that has behind it,
Now,
you have,
that's what's-
Yeah, okay.
you
I'll
you
send this out
have the
tomorrow.
estimate of probable
Then
costs.
it's later. We
But
go
this
for the
is-
photo.
Town meeting.
The stuff
Yeah,
that's
that's
in
town
here is
meeting.
not in here.
Well, the only thing that's not in there is
No,
the
No.
Sketches.
Sketches.
Because
the
in
sketches
fundraisers,
and the 6.2,
potentially.
the second low bidder.
Yeah.
Okay?
We can ask that question.
Yeah, okay.
So, but in fairness to you, your committee tonight, we wanted to make sure you
Yeah.
know where, well, we kinda think I know where we're going, but it's gonna take a formal vote tomorrow. And Tracy's only gonna allow us to do what we're supposed to anyway. Thank you, nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Okay.
We need a motion on Article
Yes.
2?
We do.
So move.
Second?
Question.
No, wait a minute, we'll second, get it on the floor, then we can question.
Somebody second.
Yes.
Joe did.
Oh, I thought you were second.
The question has arisen. If for whatever, if for some reason the 1.73 does not pass,
We,
Does it mean we don't build? Does it mean we
We can't execute a contract.
can't execute
We-
the contract?
It's done.
So that's what delays the.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I just
Until-
wanted to clear that, yeah.
But the issue doesn't go away.
No,
Right, but it, put it for vote again.
yeah,
Yeah, you
It-
have to
it
pretty much
goes
start
Down
all
the
over.
line, we start over, and it's
Yeah,
gonna be more
that's-
expensive,
Yeah,
all right,
which it has been
Yeah.
every time we've gone through this.
Right.
we're gonna get two buildings for, never mind, I won't go with that.
I'm gonna go there. Okay, so,
I guess we need to vote.
we do. So finance, let's see. Okay, so all those in favor of this recommendation? Aye? Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Okay, Article 3, see if the town will appropriate the premium paid to the town. Okay, what we have to do here, maybe you can explain that.
sure.
Sure.
So we were paid a premium as part of our bond sale. And in order for us to apply that 45,000 against the debt service, we need a vote of town meeting. So that's all it is.
Okay,
Make a motion.
second?
Second,
Okay, all those in favor?
Fine.
Okay. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, so that's really right.
Article 4, what's that all about?
Okay, Article 4, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $1 million or any other sum from free cash to the police station town hall project account or act in relation thereto. And this is the police station town hall project account is the name of the account. And this would be, basically, we'd be earmarking this for,
Right, I don't know if you remember, the town meetings are all kind of
Yeah.
going together now, but over the last 2 years, I think last 3 meetings, if there were account balances available, we swept them, we
Yeah.
called it the police station town hall project account was what it was named at the time. And we swept the balances in there in the hopes of having enough money to do the town hall, because we're not going to be able, we were considering combined town hall, police station, we were looking at various different options. Now, at this point, we'll have the police station done, but we still
the
are
town hall.
in rented leased facilities, longer than we had anticipated. So that money, the balance, which I think right now we have like 150 some odd thousand in there. And then this $1 million would be used for renovation of the town hall. It won't be enough, but we'll continue to try and either
To fund.
save or do a combination of available funds and a bond issue to get that done as well.
And
Our
this
free
would,
cash is 2.8.
Correct.
and this would in no way affect the bond rating.
No,
No.
no, because it's consistent with our policy. Even by taking $1 million out, we're still keeping our free cash at a very level amount, so that wouldn't negatively impact. And in addition to that, you may all be aware of, we had a land auction recently. We brought in about 800,000. About $500,000 of that will close out to free cash this coming June 30th. And then we usually have anywhere from, 150 to 250,000 of unexpended appropriation balances that'll close out. So it should
That's
keep
fair.
us level.
So it'll take the 2.8 up to 3.3 in June with that?
Well,
extra
we
money?
take it down to 1.8 with this
And then
appropriation.
take it back.
And then take it back.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
going up, then you're going down.
Right.
Or you're going down, then you're going up.
2.8 to 1.8, back up to maybe,
Two,
yeah.
three.
But you get certified annually.
And then the renovations for whatever's projected, that's gonna be whatever, if you're staging them or doing them in phases.
To be determined.
Whatever you're doing, whatever phase, then the next phase is gonna cost more money, right?
right, right.
It's a question of when you're gonna phase those in.
Right.
Is it gonna be, is it on is one next year, and is then one the year after, or is there?
Well, at this point in time, we have, the architects have done the space needs analysis and put that all together, but we don't have a design for the town hall, so there'd be more, design work to be done. And then, we go through a process much like what you saw this committee do, trying to figure out what we need, what we don't need, and then we'd have to put that out to bid. So you're still,
And it
Yeah,
could be a
2 years
phased
away.
project, potentially.
could be a phased project, but you can't circumvent the bid process either,
Oh, no.
you know.
Wasn't there talk about taking it down and starting from scratch?
Well, that was when we were gonna do a combined
Well, I
building.
thought even afterwards. I thought-
Even after, well, you're actually right, at this point in time, the selectmen would put an all-out call to people for members to serve on the committee, and I think to date they've received one resume. So part of that committee's charge was gonna be to look at the town hall and say, do we renovate, do we put an addition on, do we take it down and start from scratch? So nothing has been, we're kind of starting from ground zero again, unfortunately.
Where it says, because you could get this question.
Yep.
Police station / town hall project.
That's the account the town meeting.
I know that, that's
Yep.
not my question.
Yeah.
My question is, we need $200,000 more to finish the police station.
Yep.
Does that mean that's available for that purpose?
Yeah, I guess you could legally, if you went
Okay,
that
I mean, I
route.
just
Yeah,
think we need to
I
know
think
the
you
answer.
would have flexibility.
Yeah.
I would say that would be a town council ruling, but where it says that and the intended purpose
Yeah,
in the previous town meetings, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah,
I just,
yeah.
in case the question comes up.
If we're a little short.
But Bob assures us, right, that we're not.
I think we'd be coming to the finance committee for a reserve fund transfer first.
Yeah,
I've never been, I'm not in the general, the commercial end of this like Bob is, but I've built a few homes, larger homes, and I've never heard the word guarantee.
No,
And you won't.
no,
Never. Do we have a motion yet? or no?
we do have a motion and a second, okay? Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Just a question, should the name of that account be changed then?
Well, I was gonna ask you that question myself.
It's already established,
Will it confuse people?
Yes, guaranteed.
How hard would it be to change it without,
you can
Changing it.
You can establish a new account and just, we could be very specific in the motion and we could say, I move that the town transfer the sum of 1 million from free cash to the town hall project account, and it would be separate from that other account if someone objected to that.
But then to your question, would it be,
No, then you couldn't use it.
No.
no, but I just
There
wonder
already
if
is
somebody
something there.
hears the word police, $1 million,
Yeah, I know.
the first thing they're gonna
Tommy,
think
that's
of,
a good point.
Yeah,
they're gonna say,
yeah, you
Jim
could
is gonna
absolutely
automatically
change it
say
in
it's
the
so.
not
motion.
1/7, it's 2/7.
I just wonder if
Right.
it would stop some
Someone from
Second
voting in
rate.
favor, yeah.
of going down
Amend
another road that you wanna go down.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that we think, is there any way to, could we do this at the spring town meeting? Would that negatively affect us after the police has been settled?
I think that the meeting that we're gonna have in town meeting, this is gonna be generated before we ever get to the
Oh,
spring.
that's a good point, so yeah, I can't take it off now.
Yeah, this is already voted and posted.
Can it be amended to remove police station legally?
The motion can be made to say, to transfer the sum of 1 million to a town hall project account, and we would in effect establish a new account. So it would be separate from the money we already have, the 150. You can do that. I mean,
I think
What's
that's-
your
if
thoughts?
you see it going in that direction at town meeting, I don't see why not.
I do, especially when you
Yeah.
start with the 1.7, which really is
Yeah.
gonna have to be explained,
Yep,
even though you're borrowing for less
Yep.
and property taxes aren't going up, and the explanation of 20-year bond.
30.
30-year bond,
Yep.
right?
Right.
Whatever, you're saving that money
Yep,
from
for sure.
4.1 to 2.5. Yeah, I think that people will just be on edge anyway once you say, what police station? Wait a minute.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can run it by, the selectmen and just say, are you opposed
I think
to
that's-
amending the motion?
I would say that's a very good idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
Because that is in fact what it is intended for, so let's state it. It's
Okay.
intended for this purpose and no other.
yeah, I mean, that's,
Simple,
that was
right?
just the name.
So I think we can do that, run it by the selectmen,
Yeah, we can change the motion, that's not
and we
an
can
issue
change
at
the
all.
motion.
We
Just-
should amend it here.
You
I
can,
think we have to amend it on the floor.
Either way.
it'll be the main motion on the floor. They won't
They won't
say, police station, they'll just say to the town hall project account.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they can, the main motion on the floor will read like that. I can't see there'd be any objection to that.
Our motion should read that way then.
Yep.
We'll call it a Scrivener's error.
We're gonna have more of it.
Not quite. That is somebody's favorite expression.
No,
Scrivener's error. There is, you know what that is.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to
Yeah,
rewrite
yeah.
the rationale.
Did we vote on it?
Yep.
Yeah,
But-
yep, I'll change it.
All right, Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money to be added to or to adjust the following amounts voted under Article 4, the general budget of the April 23rd, 2019 annual town meeting. So we have some changes up.
Yep, we
One
do
change
this,
down.
yeah, we do this every year, well, pretty much every year. We have some adjustments to the regular operating budget. The IT, the 2,500 is software purchase. The town clerk's expenses and the parking clerk's expenses, they are transfer from one function of government to another function of government. The 23,000 under planning, salary and wages includes a salary adjustment as well as additional help. I don't think anybody here would disagree that we put a tremendous amount of work on our town planner, and right now she has 6 hours of office help, so we wanna bump that up. The library expenses, that's for cleaning costs. They wanna have someone come in and do thorough cleaning of the library on a monthly
Who
basis.
does it now?
I'm sorry?
Who does it now?
One of the DPW guys goes in and empties trash for the most part, so no one's really doing it now. And the debt service, those increases, when we originally voted the budget for 2020, we were going into it with the idea that we were gonna be issuing bans, enrolling the bans for a period of up to 2 years, and then going out to issue the debt service for the police station. Again, with the interest rates being so competitive at really historic lows, we thought we'd try and take advantage of it now. So we did go out, we issued the bonds, so we have to make the payments.
Sounds good.
And that's
Okay.
all the changes. Yep.
So, motion to approve. Motion. Second,
Second.
okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's a 7-0-0.
There you go.
Yeah, so, so we have,
So,
Well-
we're doing this now because you didn't wanna call us in on July 15th?
no, this came in long after July 15th, yeah. We close our fiscal year June 30th, and we have through July 15th to pay any bills that come in for that fiscal year. Every now and then,
one slips through.
one slips through.
Usually it
This
used to
is-
be the tree warden.
It was always,
Always.
always.
He'd let him go, he'd let him go for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we're always catching up.
Yeah, and this one was the finance department, but, yeah, this was us. We, I don't know
Okay.
what happened,
So,
but we didn't, get a paid
I
time in.
entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
And just of note, that requires a 9/10 vote because it's a previous fiscal year.
You know how many people are gonna yell that you're buying $211 worth of Staples?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Really?
Staples.
Oh, Staples, I
You were
gotcha,
that company.
I gotcha, I
All
gotcha.
right.
It could happen.
Yep.
Should put Staples Incorporated or something.
Yeah, really.
Okay,
Uh-oh, here we go.
Article 7, to see if the
Another
town will
cruiser.
vote to transfer the sum of $42,000 and any other sum from free cash account to purchase an administrative cruiser, also known as an unmarked cruiser, for the police department, or take any other action in relation thereto. And this is one that's not on the regular schedule. We've got the one a year with the marked cruisers. This is an unmarked, and this is for administrative.
Yeah, this is a 2013 police interceptor with 160,000 miles.
Okay?
That we're trading in,
Yes.
or junking, I should say.
Well, it's,
We've
It's
been,
replacing.
surprisingly, we've been going on this website for municipal auctions with our DPW equipment, and one of the
We're getting
last
money.
ones. I'm absolutely blown away with the money that we're getting for these. I mean, a vehicle like
Somebody
that,
will buy everything.
anything, but they're worth nothing on a trade-in, and we'll probably get, you know, a few grand for it,
Yeah.
so,
How old is it? 213?
213.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 years old.
6 years, how many? 180?
160,000.
The Craigslist of municipal equipment.
Yeah, right.
And the thing is, somebody will take it and run it. So we can do it. So, any question? Let's see,
I'm just curious, who uses the administrative?
This is the chief's vehicle.
This is the chief's vehicle. It serves as an unmarked car. You know, it's called an administrative, but they also have everything in it, so it's.
He does patrol as well.
So,
It's got the hidden blue lights.
okay, so, motion to recommend, motion to approve,
Second.
okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, this one is going to come before CPC, and so I'm not going to even ask for a recommendation on this until we meet before the special town meeting.
What did we do this a couple of meetings ago?
We
Something
had,
similar?
no, this came up,
Or did we
CPC
put it
did
on
not
hold?
recommend this.
Okay,
It was going to go out for a grant.
yes,
The
okay.
grant did not come through. The chief is looking for it again. I think we have,
About $20,000.
10, it was 40. I went through the notes.
Okay, I thought it was 30-something.
If it was 30-something, it was close to 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was when we talked about it when we were purchasing the ambulance.
Right,
That's, it was in conjunction with that.
and so we approved the ambulance, not the power structure. So he's gonna come in and,
The requested lift kit would cost $40,000 in addition to already approved. Yeah.
yep. So I'm gonna skip over on this one,
Okay.
and we can talk about it when we get together.
$150, is that this next one?
Yep.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Not gonna waste any time on that. Okay,
Oh, this is
Article-
going up. Raise those toilets.
These is for the pile.
This is for the pile driving yourself.
Pardon?
Where are there a fire alarm in this town?
Oh,
There are only a few left, that's why there's only 150 left in the account.
Where's that one?
There was one at the Governor's Academy,
Yeah.
there was one at
That's
the
in-
town hall.
But they run the one in there, right?
They're converting now, so the way it used to work, if I understand it correctly, Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, but the fire department used to charge them for their call boxes.
Right.
Yep.
And then the money would go into a receipts reserved account, which had to be appropriated out by town meeting. Now, most of the facilities that had them have converted over to their own systems. So we're not charging them any longer, but that 150 was left over in the account, so it needed to be appropriated.
Article 10, to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $220,000 or any other sum from free cash to repair or renovate 31 Plum Island Boulevard for the purpose of providing seasonal restroom facilities and a police department annex, or take any other action in relation thereto. Motion to approve,
So move.
second,
second.
discussion?
Mm-hmm.
So you might remember,
Do we have any kind of design? Okay.
oh yeah, we, when the town voted to purchase it,
Yeah.
last year, maybe, we immediately, hired a designer. We've got the, all the plans, the materials, estimate, we're ready to go out to bid.
There's
This,
some pylons?
no, Lord, no. No.
It was got to 220 for the pilot.
No, we met with our legislative delegation and we put in,
40,000 or
we thought
something.
we were gonna get 350,000.
Did I see?
We got 40
Okay, better.
with a little string attached. It has to be, at least that amount of the money has to be spent, by June 30th. So that's why you're seeing this appear
Oh, okay.
now. So we've still gotta go out to bid, gotta get someone in there. A lot of the work the DPW is gonna be able to do, so what we had the designer do was try and separate, with the exception of the plumbing and the electrical, which are the biggest components of this, and the materials. The professional grade materials for a facility like that aren't cheap.
What about Whittier?
Well, I don't know, well, if we used Whittier, I don't think we'd be eligible for our grant funding, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. We've never approached them. Do they still even do that?
I would assume they still use an apprentice to do the
Yeah.
wiring.
The plumbing.
Yeah.
We can, I mean, we
You
can
might.
approach them, it just will, timing is an issue.
I was gonna say
Um,
time.
That's the only thing, but I can certainly contact them and ask
They
them.
may have better time than the contractors.
Well, that's true too,
Right.
that's true too.
And
I
that
can
doesn't run us afoul of the rules in terms of municipal.
Bidding,
We wouldn't go out to bid,
just wouldn't go out.
we'd have to get approval.
I mean, we have the
Be
budgets to
technically
do
a
our
volunteer.
municipalities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can certainly
Those
call
are
them.
not-for-profits are two of the things that they do.
Alright.
What about that parking lot there that's attached?
That's not ours, that's privately owned by Mr. Williamson.
Is it
We have the right of first refusal to purchase it when he's ready to sell it. That was part of the deal. we made.
Cash cow.
He wasn't ready.
Okay,
Oh, do we
any
need to
more
vote?
discussion? Vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, Article 11, to see if the town will vote to transfer or appropriate the sum of $137,000 or any other sum from receipts reserved cable television PEG access special revenue fund for the support of PEG access service, equipment, and programming, or take any other action in relation thereto.
So move.
Second,
Okay. Questions, comments, discussion?
the annual pass-through.
No,
it's not
this,
annual.
Oh,
this is, this is something that's overdue, actually. We were fairly ready, almost ready to go, to replace all of our equipment, because it's outdated. We're using, XP software, which isn't even, a lot of it's not even supported anymore. Our physical equipment's no good. You may have noticed, for all of you that I'm sure are watching our meetings, they cut in and out. Sometimes we're not able to go live. But we had decided consciously to hold off on doing it until we got back to our new, our previous location. It's gotten so bad and we've had so many complaints, the selectmen said, no, do it now, get the equipment with an eye for, making sure it's mobile, that it can be easily moved back into the town hall. We will obviously spend a portion of it on the networking and everything, which we won't recapture, but,
How much is there in the account?
oh, there's over 600,000, yeah.
I knew it was pretty.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, this is actually very similar to, what we had to do, what Triton had to do recently.
We gave them money to do it.
Right, but, we just paid for the equipment component for them, not the install.
Sounds good.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Is there anything else we need to do?
Let's see.
I wasn't sure about 12 if you do Will of the Town, but on that one.
Yep.
That's
See if the town will vote to sell a parcel of land off Orchard Street containing approximately 7.4 acres and shown on the assessor's map R39 as Lot 5, which was acquired by the town of Newbury through the issuance of a foreclosure judgment by the Massachusetts Land Court on September 26, 2016 for unpaid real estate taxes as allowed by and in compliance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 30B, Sections 1 and 16, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into any and all documents required to effectuate said sale, or take any other action relative thereto, submitted by the Board of Selectmen.
So moved. Why wasn't this in the,
It was. No one bought it because it's completely surrounded by fish and wildlife property.
It's in the
So,
middle.
right, after the auction, Fish and Wildlife approached us and said, we're interested in picking it up.
Makes sense, yeah.
So, yeah, we tried, yeah, it didn't sell.
Okay,
Was
pheasant hunting? We could
No.
go pheasant hunting.
You're
You
on
can't get
private,
there.
I thought you're on private.
7.4 acres.
Put a
Don't
fence up.
fly that way.
Yes.
Maybe the golf, is it anywhere near where, no, it's not close enough.
It's like in the middle.
It's a
Yeah.
smack in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
Is it all near the, what do you call it? I used to
Who
call it
owns it?
Western Division.
Yeah, so
I
it's
don't,
down there. Did anybody?
it was taken long before I got here, so I don't know who the,
Okay, then Pete.
yep.
So, okay, good on that.
Do we want to even weigh in on this one?
or do you wanna do Will of the Town?
We can,
Well, it has to
wow,
do
we're
with
in
money, let
favor
him
of
sell it.
selling it,
So
so
let's sell
it's a
it.
money item.
Yeah, okay, all those
We
in
might get
favor?
a buck from the state.
Okay,
Actually, just get it off our,
yep,
oh, and then it adds to our pilot,
It does,
yep.
right?
it does?
It adds acreage to the pilot
Oh, the.
for the payment
Payment
of
of
the
road
taxes.
taxes.
No, I probably, $100.
Article
It's kind of
13
talking
is
to each thing.
just corrections
Just
that are
typos.
really typos and script
And
mistakes.
they're,
Big painful ones.
Yes, I know.
how did they get by?
Well, the way they happen all the time is that autocorrect does this.
Yeah.
It just
Get
kills.
rid of autocorrect.
I'll tell you.
And this is the first part of a 3-part review of all of our existing bylaws. It's kind of been on the back burner for about 10 years to review them and update them, and it never rises to the top. So We were very fortunate, we had a member of our, who was participating in our senior rebate program, who was an attorney, Attorney Larry Murphy, who lives in Byfield. He said, you know, if you need me to do anything, I'm happy, so I was like, yay! So, he undertook a true labor of love, and, this is the easiest of the corrections. This is, like you said, just the typos. At the next town meeting, we'll probably
The annual
start
town meeting.
addressing, at the annual town meeting, he's gonna, we'll be addressing all of those bylaws that conflict with one another. So we'll either accept one and repeal one,
There is
or
no
combine them.
substantive changes here at all.
No,
Right.
this is the first part, and
You know
then
how
the
the-
more substantive
they do
ones will
these?
come later.
I was gonna say, chapter 82, where it says
They go backward,
you can't annoy persons of the opposite sex.
because if you go backward, you see the words, and you're not trying to
Probably
read
just
it
be
as a
person.
sentence.
Which one is that?
82, it says you cannot annoy persons of the opposite
Saying the
sex.
word rather than
Oh,
seeing how
okay.
it's spelled.
But
Exactly.
I would imagine that should just be persons,
Yeah,
not our purview.
yeah, that, you'll see some changes
Down the line,
and then
yeah.
more substantive changes coming.
Okay,
Glad to know I'll be able to samp on Plum Island now.
so we're gonna have a,
No person.
we're gonna have a short meeting for capital planning on Thursday morning at 7. We'll go over, the two pieces. One is the audiovisual equipment update, and the review, the, fire department will come in and say why they need this stretcher, and we'll see if that flies. Then at 6:30, before the special town meeting, we'll convene our meeting just to go
Next week.
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday. So I'll get that
Yeah.
notice out tonight.
Day after the holiday.
And that will just be so that we go over those two pieces and add our vote of approval or lack of approval to this, which we can amend right on the floor. Just as it comes up, we'll say how we do. Okay? So, our next meeting will be next Tuesday at 6:30. So that's gonna be the 12th. And we don't have any other communication, citizens'
When's our
concerns.
next meeting?
Next
Town
Tuesday.
Just before town meeting.
Just before town meeting.
Just that,
Yeah.
in that,
15 minutes will.
Then in December, if you need one?
Yeah, I think if we need one in December, we'll set it up after the
Yeah,
special town meeting.
we don't always need one in December.
Okay. Are there any other items that anyone needs to bring up, wants to bring up? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn?
Okay.
Second.